you notice that environmental condition and the way we live, the diet, etc., can influence our microbiome. So running the study in relatively similar region and affected by similar diet and similar climate was very important. What we did, we chose about 200 subjects, 100 divided into groups, 100 with mild to moderate dandruff, and 100 with healthy scalps, evenly distributed between males and females. We try to have Fitzpatrick skin type evenly distributed between those ethnicities. But important was the equal distribution for four ethnicities: Asian American, African American, Latin, Hispanic, and European descendant American. We perform microbiome sampling through swabbing. It's this interesting technique that was developed by our team. And we perform two types of microbiome analysis. So number one, knowing the role of malassezia, we really wanted to quantitatively evaluate the total malassezia and malassezia restricta load in healthy scalp as well as dandruff scalp. And then in addition to that, to really look deeply into the microbiome composition as well as the function of microbiome and what is happening actually on the scalp from the metabolic type of analysis. We did the whole genome sequencing as well. In addition to that, we took subset of the samples for inflammatory biomarker analysis. So from that, we got, tons and tons of data, which we're still mining, but I'm really happy to share some of the results here with you. So number one, just confirming what's already known. So when we look at the malassezia load in dandruff versus healthy scalp in the global population, meaning all the four ethnicities taken together, we did see the previously observed total increase in malassezia load, and also, and especially nicely seen for the malassezia restricta. So dandruff has much higher load of malassezia and significantly increased malassezia restricta. So something that's well known and confirmed here. However, when you dissect the global population into the four ethnic groups and perform the same analysis, something interesting was observed. Total malassezia restricta as well as, total malassezia as well as malassezia restricta loads were indeed increased in dandruff for Black, Hispanic, and white subject. However, when we looked at Asian American subject, there was no significant difference. That was really interesting and actually surprising to us. So then going from this qPCR analysis, we said, okay, let's dissect it a little bit deeper when we do the whole genome sequencing. And when we look deeply at the species level, as you can see, there is predominance of malassezia restricta species, malassezia restricta and other malassezia species. And if I can take your attention, please, to the green bar here, because there's a lot of different colors. What was interesting to observe that, yes, we do see an increase of malassezia between dandruff and healthy scalp, but it's, I would say, moderate change. However, what's changed the most, and actually that was observed for all the ethnicities, is the decrease, not increase, but decrease in malassezia globosa in the healthy scalp. And you can see, we see it both in Asian subject, African American subject, Latin, Hispanic American, European descendant. So this decrease is really very pronounced and occurs on top of this increase of overall malassezia load that you can see. So something tells us here that probably maybe malassezia globosa is one of those beneficial species for scalp health. In addition to looking at the global, the fungal profile, we decided also to take a look at the bacterial profile. And bacterial diversity in general, when you look at the Shannon index, something that sometimes people like to look at, in dandruff is actually higher versus healthy scalp. And this is kind of similar to what's happening sometimes, let's say, with aged skin, when the main species that are normally present are decreasing and being replaced by some other species. And with dandruff, when you look at the detailed species profile on the right here, what's happening, we can see that we, of course, with healthy scalp, we would have a lot of propionic Cutibacterium species, some staph species. But when we go to dandruff, there is very significant increase in staph species, especially staph aureus and staph capitis. And on the other hand, decrease in staph epidermidis species. That's sorry if I didn't point to the colors, but staph aureus is the purple bar, purple line. Then staph capitis is this kind of like dark red, and staph epidermidis, the gray bar. So this imbalance is happening, and this is for the global population again. So when we take everybody together and analyze the samples as well. When we, however, dissect into the ethnic groups, so Asian American, African American, Latin, and European American, what we see is very, very interesting pattern. And again, I want to take your attention to the purple bar and this now kind of pinkish bar representing staph aureus and staph capitis. And you can see that's what's very significantly changing is the increase in staph aureus species in dandruff, as well as staph capitis. There are also some very interesting differences in general in the healthy microbiome between different ethnicities, which you can look a little bit deeper. And when you have some time, and look at our paper, implicating that, yes, even to start with, healthy scalp is different between ethnicities. And then with dandruff, there are those changes that are common and quite unexpected, I would have to say. Then when we looked at the severity of dandruff, so different grade of dandruff, we really could see very clear correlation between staph aureus increase and dandruff severity. So in addition, so now it already tells us that in addition to this imbalance in fungal species, increase in Malassezia, yes, but maybe not for all ethnicities, we do see this very pronounced increase in staph aureus in dandruff scalp between all different subjects. So now we know the composition a little bit better. Now we have to appreciate the bacterial component a little bit more. What we did next was looking deeper into the function of the microbiome. So for any of you who run microbiome analysis, especially the whole genome sequencing, it's enormous amount of data. It actually makes my head spin. We have lots of experts that can analyze microbiome, have great collaborators, and even looking at the profiles is complicated. But then the next level, and this is probably the data that's still not utilized as much as it probably and hopefully will be in the future, is the functional analysis. So we can actually look at all the DNA in the sample, which will tell us about the composition, but also about the metabolic potential. So what really those microbes are doing on skin. And what was interesting, what was interesting that we see was this increase in virulence factor. So when you look at the metabolic potential, there is still not too many databases that we can look into, but there are good databases for bacterial virulence factors that we can run the data through. And what was very interesting and pronounced that with dandruff, and the first bar here showed the global pattern, we see very increased, very strong increase in the virulence factor, especially focus on biofilm, motility, immune modulation, throughout the global population, and then with different pronunciation within ethnicities. However, there is clear increase in abundance of violence factor genes. And then when we did a lot of reading, some of those violence factors are actually previously linked in literature to Staph aureus virulence, which even further implicates the importance of this bacterial component in dandruff condition. In addition to that, because scalp is of course, not just microbiome. Yes, so dandruff, we have the microbiome component. Now we know in addition to fungal species, we have bacterial imbalance, but there's also a lot of inflammation on dandruff scalp that's been observed previously. So what we wanted to do, we wanted to look a little bit deeper into some of the biomarkers and dandruff. And what was observed, and this data is for global population, that in dandruff scalp, when we look at three different biomarkers and plot them versus dandruff severity, we do see increase in IL-1 receptor to IL-1 ratio, ICAM-1 with dandruff, and decrease in P-selectins. This was new observation, something very interesting, and we suspect that this actually shows us what's happening on the scalp as for the crosstalk between the microbiome and our skin immune response. So the hypothesis for now is that those P-selectin and ICAM-1 can actually impact the dandruff scalp. There is this aggravated inflammation, which will lead or be expression of this microbiome imbalance. So when we think about healthy scalp, you have low level of ICAM and basal levels of P-selectin, which really give us this strong defense against microbial infection, or keeping the balance that's normally present on the scalp to keep it healthy. And with dandruff, this high level of ICAM, reduced level of P-selectin will increase inflammatory cell recruitment, increase scalp sensitivity, and really dysregulate our defenses against microbial imbalance or infection. Here it says infection, but it's in reality it's the imbalance that observed on dandruff scalp. All of this, as you can already suspect, will be associated with decreased scalp barrier function, and those three factors, so inflammation, decreasing barrier function, as well as microbiome imbalance, they really feed on each other and will keep the severity of the disease stronger until we are able to modulate all three of them. So the main conclusion, I guess, from our research is that dandruff involves a complex interplay of different factors. So there's fungal, bacterial factor imbalances with some ethnic variations that we have to take really pay attention to. There is also, of course, the inflammatory aspect as well as barrier compromised barrier that I mentioned, and the very important fact to remember that while malassezia role is confirmed, the Staph aureus influence is strongly linked to dandruff severity, and especially what was important to us is how significant and how consistent it was throughout those different ethnicities. This inclusive study really opened our eyes to how we really should pay attention to variation in microbial profile and virulence factor and association with the lifestyle, geography, environmental differences, and how it really underscored the need for inclusive research and treatment. The finding of those new inflammatory biomarkers, super important as a potential new target for dandruff. And really with this knowledge now, hopefully we can shift our approach from what we have available for our consumers today, which is really the non-specific antifungal approach that tries to kill it out, to a new solution for selectively targeting scalp bacterial fungal imbalance, maintaining this proper inflammatory responses, as well as scalp barrier. So what are the next steps that we can propose? Again, selectively targeting. So again, just to remind what came from this paper and what we think would be best approach is really targeting Malassezia restricta, but also increasing Malassezia globosa, potentially increasing the good phenotype of staph epidermidis, while decreasing the restricta, of course, and decreasing Staph aureus at the same time. The solutions can be different. We have some solutions on the market, and it wouldn't be microbiome presentation if I didn't mention the solutions that are derived from microbes. And here we can think about using probiotics, postbiotics, metabolites, which are very, very great basket of different opportunities, and really with targeted approaches. Many bio-derived material with those specific functions, and even go as far as using phages, possibly. So I hope I inspired you here a little bit to looking a little bit different at the dandruff and new approaches to treating this condition. Now, I just want to thank you, everybody. And in addition to L'Oreal team collaboration, we also had great collaboration in microbiome research. We work with Cosmos ID and CMM Bio that help us with those complex analysis of microbiome and microbial function on scalp.
Thank you.
So now I can take any questions that you might have.
Yeah, I noticed that there are quite many viewers. They joined late because we switched from Webinar Jam to this Teams platform. So I think about half of them missed the first 10 minutes of the presentation. Since I think we have plenty of time for questions. Could you could you go to the first couple of slides and just quickly go through them? For this latecomers.
Yeah, so I think probably I don't think people need introduction of microbiome and its role in hair and scalp, but the important findings that we have really built more knowledge on top of what's already known. So for healthy scalp, as we know, it's been established that Malassezia species are important. They really are important for our scalp health if we keep the right balance. And there is also right balance of bacteria with the beneficial phyllotypes of Cutibacterium, Staphylococcus that we want to maintain. And the study really looked deeply into extending the knowledge on the imbalance that observed in dandruff. What's been known so far is the role of Malassezia restricta, overgrowth in dandruff severity versus decrease in Cutibacterium and Staphylococci species. And what we were trying to do, we were trying to understand dandruff condition a little bit deeper, especially in respect to a diverse population. There was no previous study that was run within one region and looking at all 4 different ethnicities at the same time. So this is what we wanted to do. That's our study design. We had about 200 people, 100 with dandruff, 100 healthy scalps, evenly distributed between 4 ethnicities: Asian American, African American, Hispanic American, and European American. And we sampled scalp from healthy and dandruff subject, followed by complex microbiome analysis, qPCR, to confirm and really quantitatively look into the malassezia involvement in dandruff, as well as whole genome sequencing to deeply take a zoomed look into fungal, bacterial profile, as well as functional analysis. And just quickly, observation, very quick. So confirm the malassezia involvement for global population, but maybe I just highlight the most important. However, when we dissected into the ethnicities, we did not observe the same for everybody. So while malassezia total load and malassezia restricta were increased for African American, Latin, European American, it was not observed for Asian population. And by contrast, when we, or maybe one more addition, what was, however, observed for all the population for the fungal profile was this drop in Malassezia globosa. And we tend to suspect that this is the beneficial fungus on the scalp.
Okay, I think we covered the first 10 minutes. Yeah. So we're good. So we can go to the Q&A session. So we have a few questions. You can also check the chat box. So
okay, let me just
I think the first question is from Nairab. Suggest top 3 laboratories to test anti-dandruff activity of active product in Europe. Do you know any laboratory in Europe?
I'm not located in Europe, but I can definitely get back with you consulting with the European partners. As for if you want to look at the clinical aspect, that I can send the recommendation later on. But as for the microbiome analysis, and I had it on the acknowledgement page, the Cosmos ID and CM Bio, those are great partners, both in Europe and in US.
All right. The second question is from Christopher. Inflammation seems implied in dandruff states. It should create some hyperkeratinization due to inflammation state. Do you think that an ingredient able to control keratinocyte proliferation would be positive as a complement?
Yeah, and yes, absolutely. And these days, one of the monograph ingredients is actually salicylic acid. Yes, so we do have this available. But again, it's kind of like, and I don't want to, like, many skin and scalp condition is not just one factor. So yes, removing the flakes with salacid, helping with improved barrier, which effect on keratinocytes proliferation will help as well, but also affecting the microbiome imbalance all together will work, definitely.
Okay. We have a second question from Nairab. Want to run anti-dandruff activity of my product. So please suggest market standard benchmark product for the same.
That's a little bit controversial. I have my favorite, and I think based on the consumer, the products, everybody has their favorite product. I would have to say that I would look into product with, like I mentioned, salicylic acid, selenium disulfide, or zinc peritonium if you locate it in US. Yes, but I think combination of selenium disulfide, salicylic acid. There are products with sulfur as well, not my personally favorite, but those should be the benchmarks.
All right. Okay, the next question from Ranuka. Does selenium sulfide reduce scalp oiliness of sebum, or does it only target the fungus causing the flakes?
So I think it does target the fungal component, and I think, and again, this is such a complex crosstalk, yes, because the bacterial composition or the microbial composition overall on scalp will in some way affect also the lipid composition. And yes, dandruff is oily scalp or skin on scalp condition, but also the oiliness and the composition of the fatty acid, which is driven by microbiome metabolism, will affect how much inflammation, how much of this barrier disruption we get. So to answer the question, selenium disulfide does target the fungal factor or microbiome element, but which will also probably lead to changed fatty acid or sebum composition, if not to sebum level as well.
Okay. All right. Seems we have more questions popping out. So the next question from Segovia. What is your view on microbiome claims universality? Should studies be conducted in regions around the world to make regional claims, accounting for environmental differences beyond ethnicities?
Yeah, so the environment will play a role. It's definitely true, and this is why we decided to run the study in one region, focus on 4 ethnicities in the same region of the world, in the same region of US, so there is minimal impact of the environment, climate, etc. The main, what I would challenge, however, yes, this is super important. It's not just the environment, but it's also the unique cleansing practices, hairstyling practices that will affect as well. And that's super important. That's why it's super important to run those studies in those particular regions. However, the big changes that we observe, like the Malassezia restricta increase, Malassezia globosa decrease, increase in Staph aureus, those are global changes that probably are minimally affected. So if microbiome is so complex, yes, and if we look at those maintaining the complete balance and changes in those minor species, yes, maybe we would have a difference, but the biggest changes and the global changes probably are not that significantly affected. I would say that likely the hairstyling practices will have more influence.
Yeah, I think it's also a business decision to you can make whatever claims that you prefer.
Yeah.
So, but I think study itself is quite interesting and quite meaningful, especially I think for the Asian Americans, the Malassezia, there's no significant difference. So that's very interesting finding.
Yeah, and there is still dandruff, yes. So it's just not the factor. Is
dandruff.
it? Yeah, there's still dandruff. So that's
maybe it's not
that was
to
quite
the
interesting. Yeah.
All right.
No.
So next question from Dalal Joseph. In your studies, did you uncover any hygiene, diet of topical products that exacerbated the disbalance of micro communities?
So yes, this study is like rich, so rich that we are still in fact mining the data. And I did show you one of the correlation analysis, which was the Staph aureus versus dandruff severity. But we are really looking deeper, and we are looking at the different clinical parameters and association with microbiome, with the condition. I think we did have information on the hairstyling practices as well, but I don't believe we will be able to dissect as deeply as for the type of products. Maybe general, like I don't know, the frequency of hair washing, or non-using conditioner, or what type of anti-dandruff products. Maybe this much, but I don't think. Probably the N was not good enough to be able to distinguish between different type of product that can make the condition worse.
But in theory, it can cause a
Yeah.
difference, exacerbate. So
Absolutely.
so the diet,
Absolutely. Yeah.
hygiene. I think there might be some prior study on this.
Yeah. And
Should be.
especially, I would say that especially in some population where the hair cleansing routine is a little bit different or unique,
Yeah,
it may
yeah.
have a big change. There was a recent publication implicating that at least once a week hair washing will decrease dandruff significantly. Or and scalp sensitivity, and that was run actually. That was African study, African population.
Once a
So
week.
it's important.
I think most people
At least
wash 2 or 3
and again,
times maybe a week.
depends on the region, depends on the ethnicity. Yes, with
yeah.
the protective hairstyles, it doesn't
Yeah,
happen that
yeah,
often.
yeah,
We
right.
know that it's much more rare. But if it goes beyond 1 week, it will definitely make the condition worse.
Oh, a question from Sarah. Are there any data which examine the efficacy of existing dandruff treatments amongst different ethnic groups?
So we didn't. This study didn't look, and I don't know if there is study looking at different treatments. There is probably looking at efficacy of certain treatment between within ethnic group, but I don't think that it compares different treatment. I'm not aware of that.
Because usually I think maybe we study some anti-aging efficacy. We divide the test subjects by different age groups. And ethnic groups, I think I haven't heard about this.
Yeah, you are correct. And sometimes if it's run in certain regions, so you have just one ethnic group, and but then this is why we really like this. The beauty of this study was being able to look at all those different groups together, and it keeps on giving us new and new data.
Question from Hebelin. In your study, did you see any variation role of Corynebacterian space?
So it didn't. Let's look. Let's look where we have the. So you see, it doesn't come here as in the profile as the top 11 bacterial species. But I know the team is still doing the correlation analysis, and there might be something that's gonna come up soon. So probably next presentation, next paper. But it was not top 11 bacterial species on the scalp that we analyzed.
Okay. Yeah, we have a lot of questions today. People are very interested in your topic. So yeah, good. And the next question is, how is dandruff subject to degree of colonization, similar to acne? And how does this relate to conclusions on relative abundance, etc., X quantity of UFC being responsible rather than higher, lower, and percentage? Very specific.
A very specific question. I don't. I'm not sure. Let me see. So basically, if I rephrase, sorry, if the question is like how, if the composition is related to the condition versus the changes that are happening to scalp are affecting the composition, am I correct? This is the question. So if it is, then I think it's kind of like with this crosstalk between skin and microbiome. It's hard to tell, yes, what's really the culprit here, because definitely there is difference in the scalp. Like we talked about sebum composition, scalp inflammatory state, scalp barrier, which will affect the colonization, and this will affect the composition. But once we have the imbalance already, this will further lead to barrier disruption, the inflammation on scalp, and the worsening of the severity of dandruff. But I don't know if I understood correct the question. Sorry.
All right. So let's move on. So we have the next. I think the next question we already have some answer. You can take a look. So, the question from James: Why is Malassezia furfur not considered in your study? I often encounter this strain as a test specimen, but I think we have Laura answered here. The reason why people work so long on Malassezia furfur is because it's easier to work on, but on the scalp, the predominant Malassezia are globosa and restrictor. Probably
Correct.
yes. That's what the data says, right?
Correct. Yeah, and in vitro, many in vitro assays using Malassezia furfur. I think it's easier to grow also, if I understand correctly. But from the profile, again, top 10 fungal species, we don't see Malassezia furfur. Yeah, unless it's because also we have the red barriers that will compromise some not annotated species, so it's kind of bucketed everybody else together. But the globosa and restricta really pop as the major Malassezia species. Then we have the dermatis and sympodialis.
Okay, clear. Okay, the next question from James. Am I correct in my understanding that we can view dandruff as a microbiome dysbiosis of the scalp? Hence, addressing it involves rebalancing the microbial diversity of the scalp.
Yes, very correct. So yeah, so that's really like if we go to this where I had the slide with the scale. Yes, so if we think this biosis is super clear and confirmed, so yeah, let's we treat it by hopefully decreasing Malassezia restricta and trying to be selective. Is there a way to protect the globosa if it's truly, if further study can prove that it's truly beneficial species, then we see that the decrease in Cutibacterium, let's bring back some of the good phenotype of Cutibacterium and decrease the Staphylococcus aureus. Protect barrier, reduce inflammation, healthy scalp, hopefully.
Okay, yeah, that's also your next step. You will do some that kind of testing. Okay. The next question from Brando Pons. For mild to moderate dandruff, do you believe gentle microbiome-friendly formulas are more effective than strong antifungal approaches?
Yes, and we actually, this is like what Fan mentioned, the next steps. Yes, like I know I'm flipping between slides, but it's like really, if we can move from the kill it all, yes, the strong antifungal only approach to selective targeting bacterial imbalance, decreasing inflammation, strengthening scalp barrier, that would be potentially much gentler product and
more
with
smart,
better and longer term efficacy. Not easy. Not easy.
Do you know any product that selective kill Malassezia restricta and do not affect Malassezia globosa? How easy will it be to find a product? I think that's the next
not
step,
easy,
right?
but hopefully coming up. Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully coming up.
Hopefully coming from your study.
Yeah.
I think we have more questions from Dalal Joseph. Assuming the scalp surface sebum film exuded is influenced by diet, do some of these OGs that you measure depend on the sebum oil excretions of the scalp for nutrients for their ATP of NADH metabolism? Did you measure the fatty acid and the bioproducts of degradation differences in microbiome fluctuations? Is it well published? Also a very specific question.
No, we didn't measure, we didn't do lipidomics analysis of scalp. This is actually a very good idea, yes, to do this analysis, to really know what's the specific fatty acid changes, what are the, if there are increases in those pro-inflammatory lipids. We haven't done that. yes, very good point. The diet could potentially influence. So does also the microbiome imbalance, yes, because the metabolizing of those scalp lipids by Malassezia, by Cutibacterium will result in different fatty acids, but what they start with may depend on our diet and our metabolism, which is a good point. We haven't done it. We still have a lot of those metabolic pathway data to analyze from the whole genome sequencing. So maybe this will bring more data. The problem is there's not a lot of resources to analyze the data. So hopefully in the future, as the knowledge is being built on microbiome, on the function of microbiome, we'll be able to dissect some of this.
All right. So we have one last question from Sharon Martin. Do you think it would be worthwhile to add a prebiotic that feeds the epidermis,
Yes.
and not the S. aureus in dandruff shampoos that contain antifungals?
Yes, absolutely. And like
Prebiotic.
any approach, yes, to really bring this balance back, to target this imbalance would be great. I put some options on the bottom. Yeah, I didn't put prebiotic. We had prebiotic there, but definitely, yes, prebiotics, postbiotics, which have lots of potential, I think, because those are specific molecules. Yes, if we can really harness that knowledge about the metabolites and the postbiotic, that would be great. But yeah, prebiotic, it's a great idea too.
Yeah, so I also have some questions. So earlier you mentioned that the healthy scalp microbiome has low diversity. Is that comparing to the
skin? Sorry,
skin?
to
Yeah,
skin.
skin micro.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So it's okay. So it has less microbiome. I mean, the next question from me is the so there's some trend for the healthy scalp versus the dandruff scalp. Do you think it's similar to the trend for the aging? I mean, does the elder scalp tends to have a more microbiome issue or more dandruff? Is it true?
Oh, if there is seborrheic dermatitis, so beyond the scalp, yes, like oh no, you're asking with age scalp.
For the aging has maybe for the skin, aging has certain impact, like more diversity for the microbiome. I wonder if that's true for the scalp.
So we actually, I don't know if we looked. I'm trying to remember what kind of data we got. As for the aging correlation with severity of dandruff in this study, I don't think we've seen any difference. Yes, no, we haven't seen, because there was no association with age. But there is definitely changes that will happen with the profile of microbiome. You are right. It's just that we didn't see association with severity. Yeah.
All right.
And I would have to go back to the healthy part of the population from this study, which we can look. Actually, it's an interesting question.
Okay, great presentations. Excited to see how to be selective to restrictor and not harm globosa.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
that's
good,
the Holy Grail.
Yeah, good. We are quite on time, so let's go back to Monica.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. For those who joined late, we apologize for the last minute change of platform. We experienced some technical difficulties in Webinar Jam, and we had to organize this Microsoft Teams very last minute. In any case, the webinar has been recorded, and you will get the recording very soon. And we hope to see you all in the next webinar in 3 weeks. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Yolanda. We have a lot of thank you notes. great presentation.
Thank you.
Okay,
Have a
bye-bye,
nice rest of the day.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.